Day after day after day after day, with the moon and the sun and dun 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 dun. Hello everyone, it's me here again, Tyler, the lovely boy here on this side of the internet, here on the land of YouTube, and bringing lovely flair and air type of energy, of course, to y'all through y'all screens as viewers, of course, lovely viewers and supporters of mine. And of course, what day are we having today? A lovely one, of course, as ever, you know. And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and press the bell notification, baby boo, to, you know, see more early posts of mine when they're soon to come of me updating my YouTube channel, of course. And thank you so much if you do plan on being a supporter before or after this YouTube video of mine, of course, that you are interested to click on. And with that, you'll be there more so with me, helping me out becoming a full-time YouTuber in the future. But yep, let's get into it. You know, y'all, we only heard that intro like one time from episode 1 of the pilot, and honestly, I felt like, you know, for the actual real true who feel like they're the true fans of the Digital Circus show, like they'll know that song all the way through into the part where Pomni messes up the whole entire song with her debut into the show in episode 1 of the pilot. For you to see, I actually did get this from Walmart about a few months back, about a year ago. I think probably the ending of last year into the beginning of this year, so you can actually see, like, yes, with a nice digital art tag to it. Of course, not made by me, of course, but yeah, that's actual real production from the Glitch Studios. There's the Glitch logo right there for y'all to see, and clear as day type of clarityness. I can say I really do like Jax in the sense of I really love his character designs. I do love bunny rabbits because, of course, me wearing bunny rabbit ears, you know, can't you just tell? And of course, with his very like alt personality of sorts, like aka alt for alternative for some people who may not know that. I feel like a lot of people would know, of course, for the type of demographic that the show is really going after. Because honestly, I'm 32, 1994 born, you know, and raised within that era for a little bit for my first year going into the early 2000s. So me and, of course, teenagers alike, like in their early 20s to like teenage years and like high school and maybe even middle schoolers, who was really like being told by those, oh, you're really mature for yourself, but they're mature, edgy, partying into like that alternative crowd situation, or maybe not, but like the type of teenage kids who would just want to like watch something that's a little bit more adult and they can just get behind it. Because even within a show like this, they still bleeped out words for that very nostalgia 90s computer online game type of atmosphere that's still living true to this day, that, you know, school, like teachers in schools are making kids play, or their parents at home are making, you know, their kids play these games like when they used to play as a kid. But that's besides the point. I do want to get some merch from the Digital Circus online merch shop. Hopefully that doesn't die out really soon. And honestly, I've seen their prices, $20 for a lot of these things, and I want to really get like their vinyl, I want to say vinyl, but if not, sorry about that. I really want to get their Jax keychain, like blind boxes. I want the evil Jax, aka like the very, you know, opposite of him, nice type of Jax that we saw for one episode, him in pink. That's the main reason why I really want to get him. But of course, any Jax, you know, bunny type, mascot character type of keychain, I would love to have, of course, you know, where it's the maid one or his animated school outfit one. I really don't care, but if I could get the pink one, and I don't even really care for the ultra rare one, could be like honestly like his like other self I'm about to get into. Of course, you know, spoilers ahead, y'all, but let's get into the video. Again, their merch shop, pretty much $20 to $30 to $40 at max for everything, and it's on sale right now since the show has officially ended for season 1. And yeah, let's talk about episode 9, and let's talk about some precursor things to it that's just on my mind just to talk about for this video. So just to say off the bat, I know from all of like the Twitter comments here and there, like the scandal that happened with the creator Gooseworks themselves, I know for sure that from the last thing I've heard from YouTuber commentary channels covering these things I've seen much of, even the ones that seem like they're using AI voices here and there, just very repetitive type of shorts and videos, of course, you know, just trying to like really milk a lot of stuff, but really give you a lot of information be like for that milking reason. But yeah, I do know for sure that the last thing that they said, that Gooseworks says, like, because of all this commotion and stuff like that, pretty much being confirmed from their posts, like, this is going to be like anything last you're ever going to hear from Digital Circus, anything that has to do with like a TV show, you know, type of vibe that we got in webisode series here on the land of YouTube, on Netflix, and of course the movie premiere of episode 9. So yeah, so I feel like, just off the bat, a quick impression with knowing that information, this feels like an episode that really like gave you the answers that people were looking for, and they pretty much tied up full circle into like a neat little package where it's like you wouldn't really want any more else besides this from what the information that they gave you. And I'll explain my thoughts about what really, like, you know, stayed with me, of course. And honestly, you could take it like that, or secondly, you can take it in the sense of like, nah, they still have some room for a season 2, for some like some possibilities to happen that people would want to feel like it's actually real closure when things are very much explained. And just off the bat, yes, the show from Gooseworks is based off / really inspired by, I would want to say, not really based off, but inspired by, you can say this and that. I'm not trying to say like I have all the facts, because again, this is a slight research. All the stuff I hear from commentary channels and actually watching the show myself I didn't know it was going on for like at least a year or 2 or 3 right now, because again, I guess I should have known, like, you know, glitch production type of TV shows that they try to have, or webisode series, like web series that they try to have on their channel, they do span from like 5 months or 6 months in between an episode usually, or maybe even to a year. Because I haven't even seen like a Guinevere like episode 2, you know, greenlit like episode even appear, or even updates about that from anyone. Because usually when you watch something that has to concern with glitch news, you'll get updates onto like other series with them, of course, either from them if you're subscribed to your channel like me, or from other people because you watch their stuff and you like their stuff on YouTube, and they'll show you more glitch type content of what's to come. Unbeknownst to you in your recommended feed, if you didn't know that. But just getting to the point and just focus on Digital Circus going on here and now, because I know I just ran on a little ramble right there and y'all are probably like a little bit with me. Anyways, yep, it was inspired by F No Mouth and I Can't Speak, or I'm probably messed up on that, so here you go. Here goes the little book cover for the actual book itself, and it was a video game at that too, like way back whenever. So like yeah. And yeah, it pretty much like reeks with the whole, in a good way, in the sense of like stuff I've seen in like movies, TV, and stuff like that. They're all my years from 1994 up to here now, 2026, about like, you know, AI, technology, about futurism, futuristicness, about are these people's subconscious really inside, you know, this game of sorts, or this 3D software of whatever kazoo that is being made within the Digital Circus. So yeah, so it really answers all the questions. Basically, this episode, remember, is basically just everyone finally remembering everything for what it is and what it's for, remembering like their lives. And yeah, I can say from the beginning of the episode, it really had like a fast beat to it, which I not really know how to feel about that per se, but I was assuming that that's because we've seen everything. We've been a conscious, consistent viewer. I feel like it's for people like that who's been a consistent viewer and stuff like that, like me. And with this, like, I guess there is acts in this, but it really didn't feel like it was like taking you along like an adventure. It has its slow moments, and then it's getting to like its climax, and then boom, like a lot of like feels and this and that. It felt like everything was very melancholy, very like chill, very like, when you think of like very lo-fi music type of vibes, like very like, we're just chilling out, man, we're just talking about our feelings, we're having these emotions, And then they do a lot of like time jumps, like time cuts to different passages in time for like the continuation of where we left off within the episode. So you'll see different like time cuts, like time jump cuts within the timeline of the episode that we're watching. Not to the past, not the way future per se. It's like they're time cutting through the episode to like future points within the episode without showing all the nitty gritty inner parts, because I'm guessing we're supposed to just know all that from what they've shown us in the previous episode to guess what happened or what was gonna happen or what had happened. And yeah, where they revealed that, yeah, like everyone is just a brain scan. Their subconscious isn't really per se within the game. It is, but it's like a duplicate. So they're all dupes of real people. And is that sense of like hope being, I guess you could say, taken away from like the viewer per se, but like not really, in the sense of like these characters and the personalities that we grew together with, that we grew to love and things of that nature, they're like chilling and vibing, having like a great successful life outside of the digital circus. It's just their subconscious feels like everything's so real, like their duplication. That means like the technology did what they're supposed to do, but with this somewhat human mind of sorts, they can't wrap around themselves not being real, which quote unquote they pretty much are fictional characters, aka factually, like they are fictional characters, and their brain can't process that they are fictional because their brain was such a successful brain scan, in my personal opinion, that they cannot see themselves as fictional because they have all of like the feelings of a real person. And that's only as far that you can go with that because you can be like, no, or like, yes, and that yes is yes is just ending it right there and be like, that's just what it is. There's no deeper stuff to that. They just are a fictional duplication, perfect duplication of another person's mind and subconscious, and how they would act and feel and stuff like that through like one scan upon the headset that Pomni foreshadowed when she first came into the digital circus from the pilot. So yeah, and of course we jump cut to someone who abstracted and who wasn't there when they saw this abstraction monster, when they started putting everyone together that we saw from the beginning of the episode. It was Jax. So Jax pretty much like wandered off, stuck to himself, became even more lonelier and abstracted. But of course we got to see with inside an abstracted being of sorts. And this possibly could gander up a little bit more hope but we in a sense, I guess, being with the characters, that they could solve it some way, somehow, and almost like this glimmery feeling of hope of like, that can't be what it is, and they are real. Editing Tyler here. I don't know how much memory / storage I have on my phone to say this part about Jax. So yeah, gonna go pretty fast, but still pretty peaceful so y'all can understand me. So they do show us a little bit within the episode about Jax's full memory when Pomni does hug abstracted Jax. And that was also the possible Jax keychain that could be the rare one, was him being abstracted, because they do have a figurine of all the characters in their split abstracted form as figurine form. One side their normal side, the other side their abstracted possible side of themselves. But like, they show all of his memories, especially up front to Pomni, because Pomni is that one that, tries to be understanding of all the characters and tries to grow herself as a character. And they show like, how Jax was basically like just a runaway. They show like that little sneak peek of like his real life POV perspective of like how his story went in real life, of like how he pretty much was a runaway as like a possible teenager / coming of age young adult type of person, and like how he slept on the streets and stuff, how he got into a fight with his mom, which is really relatable, where it's like to a lot of people out there where they got into fights with their parents and they do something that they greatly regret, or don't know what they have done in that moment, because everyone's like in so much heat, like they're in so much anger and emotions are flaring up, and And I always thought like Jax was always like that type of character that's like a loner kid, or young man who just is just misunderstood about a lot of things, and like is probably just going through a lot of stuff, maybe going through puberty or just coming of age as an adult, and just, you know, wanting to like do stuff his own way, you know. But he had time, you know, to really like adjust into Digital Circus at first when he first came in, and, you know, be friends with the frog girl. I forgot her name, but the frog girl, of course. And, you know, it shows the timeline of how that relationship panned out with that and Cosmo that we never, you know, got to meet from the way beginning of the episode series, from the pilot. So, but we did, you know, get an initial, I want to say like an addressing of him, you know, being part of the show. So like, yeah, though, yeah, so basically the personalities of like the frog gal and of course Cosmo, you know, they were just like real people who really didn't have any filter, and that really rubbed off on Jax a lot. And honestly, like, I thought Cosmo would be this like good, like I'm a real clown, blah, 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 you know, like type of funny guy, but no, like he acted like a real person, you know. He was like, hey man, Jax, what's up, you know, like, hey, why aren't you hanging around, you know, frog, like, you know, a frog gal, like why aren't you hanging around her as much anymore, like what's up with you, you know. And I just love how they use like the emotions of like facial expressions just to tell a story, in a sense of like don't tell, just show. And, you know, people would really talk down about like 3D animation or 3D models like in the past a lot during, you can say, my generation era of like young people and things of that nature. But, you know, I think growing up now, and us, and of course even younger, older people doing something really different with 3D technology, like we're able to really capture emotions really well at this like 2D-ness to 3D, you know, so we can have like that 2D nostalgia again to really get like very expressive characters in the realm of like 3D animation designs and things of that nature. But yeah, but that's like how like it showed him, you know, becoming this cocky character that doesn't seem like he cares about no one, and basically like what everyone uses known, like it was just a defense mechanism of sorts, you know, that he used to his advantage to shield his emotions so he can survive as long as he did before he became abstracted, of course. You know, it was gonna happen, but didn't know if they were gonna show how it happened, but I guess it was worthwhile to show a last abstraction of sorts, you know, a last abstraction monster, besides any previous ones coming back to like haunt the characters with its presence of sorts. But yeah, back to the video. But of course, they really end off trying to have a bittersweet good note ending towards the end, where they all are watching a projector piece that Kane put together, because Kane came back. He saw the error of his ways, and there was like another being within him that he took out. To me, that's why I kind of felt like another AI being that he merged with, that made him have these two personalities, that made him go whiplash back and forth to an angry, mean person and then to like a nice, understanding person. It's kind of crazy because the red and the blue that we saw from a previous episode, I want to say it was a previous one, the 8th or the 7th episode, where they show like there's two versions of Kane, and you would think like the first one that came to being the blue orb was like the good one, and then the red is bad, you know. But the red was good, but the blue was bad, because when Kane took out that orb from his head full of teeth, it was blue. And then he was like this very understanding, well-endowed type of character. And so he came back, you know, all the characters was like, it'll take a lot for us to gain trust with you again. He didn't really explain what had been happening with him or what is really going on with him. Maybe within time he would explain, or maybe for different circumstances that may come up, like he would explain it if we were to have a season 2. But again, I feel like not really in the long shot, because again, Gooseworks want to like, you know, put themselves far away from this project as possible because of all the stuff that has happened around the Digital Circus and how they've been writing the characters and stuff and what they say is canon and not canon. That kind of got people in the uproar from what I remembered on a lot of YouTuber commentary channels based around the Digital Circus. Yeah, but Kane put up a projector, showed them that their real selves still living on to this day, how it may have been like years later, or maybe those concurrent years still, not concurrent, those current years still that they've been in the digital circus for, you know. And that wasn't really told or said, but again, I feel like from the last episode with King Girl on the computer, you could probably put together like the different file names and like, you know, of the brain scans, and how like, you know, what time that Pomni, Jax, Ragatha came in at. You could really link to how many years has actually passed by, and probably with how soon Pomni came in, it's during Pomni's timeline of sorts of when all this is happening. But again, time could be moving differently within the digital circuit, so it could be already years later where Kane got the information to show them on the projector, like, see, this is your real selves and you guys are having a great life, so there's really nothing to escape from, to further put down to the point of like, you know, these characters are still real characters / people in their own right, and we love the personality, we love who they are. And you know, it's like, now that's why to me it feels like it's like supposed to be like a sweet finalized ending, like especially to the whole entire series, where it's like now they have to like figure out how to live their lives to their fullest potential within the digital circus, because that's their new home forever, you know, and how they can deal with being very much given the gift of immortality, I guess you would say, because again, they think like real people, because the brain scan was very successful to make them think like real people. But yeah, but I'm just the type of person that likes to take a creator's work for what it is and what they're trying to do. And if they want to distance themselves from it, because again, they're just creating as they're going, and they may need some time to do that sometimes, or they can just do it on the fly. But again, this is from someone's mind, and I appreciate that the gift of the creativity of the craft that they were able to give to us, this story from the digital circus. And that was an inspiration from I Don't Have a Mouth, you know, I Can't Scream. I think that's what it's actually called. I can't speak, but I can't scream and stuff. Again, correction right here if I need one. Thank you, editing me. Lovely as ever. But like, yeah, though. Yeah, I really didn't feel it too much throughout the episode, because again, when emotions start coming in, I wasn't like really crying this time and so forth. I knew there were sad moments, but I feel like they came in probably really fast. And again, that's why I explained the fast beats in the beginning. And, you know, and I was really wanting to get to like the resolution or like the ending, and like what is it? And this is those stories where it feels like it's about their journey and not the ending or really the beginning too much. Because honestly, I just finished Lost, and honestly, that gave me like the same vibe. Like, if no spoilers for Lost in this one, of course. But yeah, it just has the same feeling and vibe. And I feel like I watched two shows that just ended at the same time, which is kind of coincidental. That kind of has like the same feeling to it, where it's like, you kind of feel like towards the end, there probably wasn't really like a point, but there was a point, of course. It's about, you know, just you feeling your feels, you just loving the experience or living within the immersive experience of the story. And yeah, but of course, hopefully, you know, I explained well enough for people who haven't watched it, but I will rather want this to be for people who have watched the 9th episode. So please go do so and watch it if you haven't, to get a better experience of the episode when you come back here, of course. Again, I'm like, you know, like a grown adult young man, 32, who've watched a lot of media with different types of emotions, storylines, story arcs. So for me, it could take a lot to get a lot off me, and maybe it could be because of the cartoony nature of it all. But I will say I do love like the aesthetic of the show. I love the creativity of the show. That's why for me, I said in the beginning, I would love to get the merch and get a lot of like Jack's merch, because again, he's like a rabbit, and that's why I, you know, really love about his character design, not just having the color purple, but the color pink, my favorite color besides red, but pink's my ultimate favorite color. I love to like, you know, rep a lot and rock a lot. So yeah, but yeah, and of course this video is not for debating purposes here and there, just for more of a discussion, but not a discussion where it turns to a debate where you're wrong, I'm right, you know, I'm wrong, you're right, you know, it's none of that. I feel like this is just everyone's individual type of experience and things of that nature. And people have already theorized two sides. Either there's brain scans, and honestly, it culminates down to it not really matter. But of course, you know, the show can still matter in its own different ways. Or like they are really in there and they really got to get out. And I also believe from someone like me, and like other people, they wish it was that latter. But who can really tell if that would have been too much of a complex story to tell, or even like a very sad, downing story to really have to deal with, being like they are really there and they're stuck there forever. There's really no escape. But I think usually sometimes with stories like that, where if they're really in the digital circus, like their human subconscious and their human like vessel, like their human bodies is transporting there, like there has to be a way to get them out. And I feel like any other way they're gonna get out another way if the story went and that type of crossroads of sorts, and that pathway, I would like to say. But besides that, since this show was beloved and created by the one and only from their own mind, Gooseworks, hopefully they're doing well and they're doing great in whatever else that they're doing next for themselves. You know, I do not wish anyone ill will, of course, and things of that nature. You know, we're all different people of sorts, you know, and yeah, sometimes there's people that we don't like, sometimes there's people that we do like. But at the end of the day, you know, we can always be the bigger person and just honestly distance ourselves from people that we feel like we just can't correlate ourselves with. You know, I'm able to, you know, I'm still able to wish someone, you know, goodwill and probably not really vibe with them on any other things. That's just what it is, you know. But besides that, y'all, yeah, this was very much an interesting series. This is one of like the first ever Glitch production, like type of web series slash web shows that I've ever watched all the way through from beginning to end. And I knew it felt like it was going to be something big because I felt like they were trying to make it something very special, very emotional from the get-go. Very something where it's like the Western states of America is trying to culminate some emotion and big back type of story to it in a very cartoony aesthetic. Almost like it's like an anime from Japan, because I feel like we associate stuff like that with anime from Japan, where it's the work is drawn, sometimes looks cartoony, but they pack so much emotion, so much story, and we haven't seen too many stories like that in America with our type of animation industry of sorts, you know, besides just recently within my late years of like my mid to late 20s of Steven Universe, you know, Owl House, those type of shows. You know, I haven't really watched Owl House from season 1 all the way through. Only saw like the first or second episode and then I stopped. But Steven Universe was the one I tried to watch a little bit all the way through, but never watched like their little spin-off, like prologue type of episode series where Steven gets a little bit more taller and he's now aging, this, down, and so forth. You know, it's like I've seen the clips, the iconic clips here and there, and like heard people's reviews about like, you know, what happens next and stuff. Not really for Owl House. So I'm still in the loop in those things because again, I'm a creative, I'm an artist in my own right, and so I hear about these things, I search up these things myself. So yeah, I'm still in the loop. Everyone, editing Tyler one more time. It's here to talk about like animation done in the States. I think I would rather say we haven't really seen a lot of adult cartoons, adult, you know, animation with very much adult themed topics that has like different array of stories that isn't just slapstick comedy, nothing that's like a Family Guy or The Simpsons, something that's like animation for adults. You know, it may have like kid characters in it to young adult characters to adult characters. It's like a series like this is specifically like Digital Circus is genred as and cater to adults who like animation / cartoons. And we don't really see much of that where they be pretty much serious with stakes or with no stakes. It's like we haven't had like an adult rom-com animation / cartoon, an adult like thriller animation cartoon, you know what I'm saying? Like stuff that feels like, and not even like the Adult Swim type of animations, because again, those type of cartoons and animation still try to have like a little bit of like too much comedy in it, but stuff that's like, it takes itself pretty seriously in what genre it's trying to go for adults, that's looking like a cartoon / animation, but it's geared towards adults. Kind of like how like, you know, you would watch cartoons as kids. It's geared towards kids, but it has like real stories you can just attach your emotions to, attach like your mind to, almost like even attaching your identity to, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, when I mentioned, or if I'm about to mention, or if I already mentioned Steven Universe, Owl House, like those shows are typically supposed to be catered towards kids or teens that are about to be young adults, but very few, rarely, of course, young adults and adults can, you know, still attach and connect with those type of shows as well too, catered towards kids. Like me, of course, obviously, I can still appear inside my youthful mind to do this. So, but it's nice to have like a show that's actually catered towards adults, about young adults to adults, that's in a cartoon/animation format, because there are still creative adults and have always been creative adults out in this world who love the art form like that love art like that, where it's like, I want an adult show with animation or a cartoon aesthetic that's about adult things, but spanning across 1,000 different types of genres, not just comedy and adult comedy at that, with comedy innuendos, but just like stuff that makes you be in your feels and makes you really think, that makes you think and have critical thinking skill sets and stuff. Not trying to say they need to teach you a lesson. At the end of the day, like when you think of like little, like not little, but like kid shows, you know, back then, where they always have to teach you a lesson. But you know, it's kind of nice, like where they may teach you like more of like a bigger lesson when it comes to like being an adult and an adult type of cartoon show and this and so forth. Meaning like, don't take life for granted type of stuff, which is part of what this show is doing, of course. Like, don't take life for granted. That's the most wise adult thing you can ever, you know, take. You know, an advice that you can take as an adult, honestly. Live life like it's your last. But yeah, back to the video. But yeah, hopefully y'all enjoyed this crazy ride that we've been on, and much kisses to y'all out there. Peace and love to everyone out there of the world. Y'all have a lovely day y'all selves, and I have a lovely day as well myself, as ever. Yes sirree. But besides that, stay lovely. Okay?